Hello and welcome again to the Steps to Maths website. In the last couple of videos we've been looking at how to create content for the website and also how to add questions for the worksheets and for the exercise functions, and you've seen how you can do that fairly easily and reasonably straightforward. In this video we're going to look at how you can assign an editor to allow them to access your content and to edit your content, so that if you're working as a particular group or even as a class, the other users can log in directly as that editor and can directly edit the files that you want for the particular period of time that you want them to do that. So in this video we're looking at this. I've logged in as a new user. This is user ID 2191, and this user can only see the master files and the class books. Now the document that you have is one of your own personal books. It's not one of his books, so he can't see it at the moment. However, if you looked at when you created the book, you'd be able to see at the very top of the URL, which mightn't be actually visible in this video, it will tell you what the name of the book is. So at the very top it'll say www.stepstomaths.com/library/reading-room ? Book ID equals some number. So that number in this particular case, on the book that we created, the new book that we created over the last couple of videos, the book ID was 8. So when this guy wants to have a look at a book, for example, when he reads this book, it'll open it with book ID equal 3. That's the Junior Cert Maths book. However, if he changes that to book ID equals 8, you mightn't be able to see this. I'm modifying this in the URL at the top of the screen. I've changed the book ID from 3 to 8 directly in the URL, and I've pressed enter, and now he can see the content of this book. However, as he is not an editor, he is unable to modify any of this content, so you need to authorize him as an editor from your account. And when you do that, you can authorize him for any particular time. Any number of people can log in as this particular user at any point in time. So for example, I've created this user, user ID 2191, and any of my students can all log in simultaneously if I want them to, or rather any group of other teachers that I'm working with can log in at the same time as this user and modify the content. So I'm going to remember this username 2191. I'm going to write that down, and I'm going to go back to my own personal account and authorize that user. Okay, so I've logged back in as my normal username, and I'm going to go to my book. I've selected my book. I'm going to read the book. I'm going to go to the content that I want to allow the other user. See, I'm user ID 2190, and I'm going to allow user ID 2191 access to this. So it's equations introduction that I want to assign him permission to access, and I'm going to add or change editors for this topic, where it says add or change editors for this topic. I click on that. There's two types of editing permissions. Now previously we looked at being a table of contents editor, which allowed you to move content into the table. Now we want to assign a content editor, which means for the specific topic that we're looking at, only the specific topic that we're looking at, they will be able to modify the help information, and they will be able to modify the questions for the worksheets. As it says here, the primary purpose of this functionality is to allow you to create a temporary editor, which in this case is 2191, which a group of people will be able to use to insert or update questions. It tells me I have permission to assign editors, so I'm going to do that now. The ID, as you remember from earlier, is 2191. And let's have a look at the editor details for that. The name is John O'Rourke for the one person I'm going to assign. Again, anybody can log in as John O'Rourke if I let them. The expiry time, well, I just want that to be 24 hours, and that's in minutes. I would assume maths teachers can do that. Okay, and I want to assign them as a content editor. So carefully here, we're going to assign as a content editor, allowing them to change the questions. So let's assign and update our editor. The new editor has been successfully assigned to this topic, so we're sorted on that. And let's go back to our other editor, go back to the other user. So I'm going to log out and log in as editor number 2191. Again, as editor 2191, I can't immediately see the book, but I know that its book ID is 8, so I go to the top of the page and I type in book ID equals 8 and press enter. The reason I know this is because I'm an editor, and if I'm an editor, we're all working together, and for sure so we will definitely know what the name of the book is. This allows you to make sure that books of content that you want only for yourself will not be seen by other people. Okay, so this is content for first years is the name of the book. Let's have a look at Equations Introduction, and I'm afraid I forgot that in order for this user to be able to access this question, he also needs to be a table of contents editor. So I went back to the other page and I assigned this user 2191 as a table of contents editor for the same length of time. So now we're logged in as editor user number 2191. I've opened the book at book ID 8 because that's the one I want to have a look at. It's a temporary book. And I've gone to Equations Introduction, and now we can see that we can add or edit questions for this topic. So I click on Add or Edit Questions, and directly there, exactly as if I was the creator of this topic, I can modify the questions and I can add questions. So this is the reason why I'm only assigning the editor for 24 hours, is because once you've created content and you've allowed another editor to access it, they can modify the help, they can modify the questions any way that you want them, that they wish to. So there's a certain level of trust in this, which is reasonable when you're sharing content. So anybody can log in as this temporary editor. So the idea again behind this is that you can create a temporary editor, and you can have any group of people can log in as that temporary editor for the period of time that you wish them to, and modify the content or add questions. And that way you can work collaboratively to create a reasonable resource for your students and to share with other teachers. Okay, so in the previous video we looked at how you create some of the content, and we saw how we actually create questions. And in this video we saw that you can assign any editor that you want. First of all, you have to add them as a table of contents editor, as we've just seen, and then you can also have to add them as a content editor. When they are a content editor, they will be able to modify the help and modify the questions of the particular topic that they are an editor of, and they'll be able to move that or delete that if they wish. So make sure that you assign editors that you're happy enough to trust for the period of time that you trust them for. Okay, this way again, as I said, you can work collaboratively as a large group of people, and you can add large sections of questions fairly fast. So hopefully that will contribute to creating an excellent resource with Steps to Maths. Again, it's free for everybody to use. It's free for worksheets, it's free for assignments, it's free to create groups and provide the assignments to your own students. However, if your students wish to use the automatic correction functionality or the automatic assignment of revision, then they will need to subscribe. Okay, so I hope this has been useful. I hope you enjoy using it.